Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead of them and their companies. I'm your host, Olivia Salmons, and in each episode we'll uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, I'm very excited to be joined by Racheal Blackmore, founder of By Racheal Blackmore. Racheal works with founders and creators to turn their messaging into a powerful business asset, helping them connect deeply with their audience and drive real results through copy and Racheal works with founders and creators to turn their messaging into a powerful business asset, helping them connect deeply with their audience and drive real results through copy that actually converts. Her approach goes beyond templates and formulas, focusing on human-first messaging that builds trust and drive action. Racheal, welcome to Founders Future. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you for having me, Olivia. I'm excited to be on here and to dive into messaging.
As am I, and it's a pleasure to be speaking with you. So let's jump into this. So Racheal, with all of my guests, I do actually like to start at the beginning of their journey. So if you don't mind briefly taking me back to what it was you was doing before you started up By Racheal Blackmore, and then from there, what was the motivation behind it?
Sure. Yes. Well, I've been writing copy specifically for about 14 years. So it's a little bit of, I'll condense it as much as I can. It's a little bit of a journey, but it started because I had a very young family. I've got 4 kids, and I was stay-at-home parent in a really difficult relationship and had no income or kind of assets. And I had been a writer for a lot of my life and had kind of dabbled in little publishing essays and things like that. So one day at nap time, I literally just Googled how to get paid to write. And then from there, I found blogs and content and different things. And then I Googled how to get paid the most from writing.
Next question.
At the time, it was that copywriting was really in demand and needed. And if you were a really good copywriter, you could really make a decent income. And so I got together what I needed. I signed up for the Blackford Institute in the UK for an online plus kind of weekly mentorship for copywriting. Started going through there, took on my first client here and there, and then ended up opening up my own marketing agency called Blackmore Marketing Solutions, and had that for many years. About 4 years ago, I dissolved that and got out of the marriage that I was in, have my kids with me, and decided to launch By Racheal Blackmore, which is more of consulting, more one-on-one, a little bit deeper work than the agency model, and a little easier for me to handle in this season of life. And so that's kind of the long and short of it. But I ended up, thankfully, I love copywriting. It was a perfect avenue for me to go into writing, and Google was right. I was able to make enough to have my family and build a life. So,
and I love that you've been able to do that for yourself. And it all did start with, as you say, with one simple question to Google. And that's kind of sometimes like the initiative or the push you need to kind of, I suppose, make your life the way you want it. You know, as you say, make sure you are providing for your kids and building that life around it, and then moving on to some other things after that, which is a pretty cool aspect as well. And I suppose, did you ever envision yourself becoming an entrepreneur, or was that just something that, as you say, naturally happened to you because you needed to take those steps for yourself?
I've always been entrepreneurial, but I even at one point I don't know if you are familiar with Curves franchises, but I owned 2 Curves franchises prior to learning how to write, to Googling that question. One of the things that had kind of brought me to the place where I was at that time was the company itself had the corporate entity had sold, a lot had changed. I sold off one franchise, closed the other. And so I had that like entrepreneurial drive, but still not sure how I can make it work within my situation. And writing became the way to do that. So yeah, I think that it is innate, but also learned. You know, I don't think that it is a requirement for every successful entrepreneur to say that they've just always wanted to. Sometimes it's like that's the path that is laid before you, and you just take it step by step.
100%, I could agree with you more. And as you say, not everybody, just because they wanted those ambitions from the start or they ended up with becoming an entrepreneur. I just think whatever journey it kind of leads you down. But I feel like most people that do end up becoming an entrepreneur are very much suited to that role. So as you say, even yourself, there are nuances that you would have highlighted before you obviously had your own businesses that naturally suit becoming that. I do want to get back to the writing a little bit because I did kind of gloss over that a sec. And copywriting is such a good skill. It's not something that everyone can naturally have either. When you're good at writing and you're good at doing that, very much lean into it and move forward from there. So I love the fact that you found that little area, a pocket that you enjoy doing and actually can make money from as well. I think putting
Mhm.
that with that entrepreneurship mindset, you do have a nice little marriage made in heaven that you can just move forward with, which is pretty cool. So let's dive into the business a little bit more, Rachel, just so the listeners can have some context moving forward. So at this point who would you say like is your ideal client? Like who is it that you very, very much love to work with the most? And then from there, how is you help them and how would you support them along their own journey?
Yes. So, as I mentioned, coming out of a difficult marriage, and that was 4 years ago. And I found in that journey of healing within the 4 years, there were a lot of entrepreneurs that were essential in that healing. There were therapists, wellness, women coaches, just all kinds of this team that you assemble and that bring you through into the journey. And alongside that, about 2.5 years ago, I started coaching for a large SaaS company that built out a program for creators who really were either kind of micro business owners or solopreneurs. And I found that a lot of those people were also these therapists, healers, helpers, coaches. And in 2 years of coaching every week and working closely with them from all over the world, I realized that they have this through line of extra friction in marketing that a lot of others don't. I have clients that I work one on one with that are bigger corporations or bigger businesses, and their messaging maybe has gotten skewed or so big that they don't even know what their messaging is. And they have their sort of own set of issues. But these healers and helpers and what I call conscious entrepreneurs are really struggling because traditional marketing relies on methods that don't work for them in their space because the pressure and the scarcity and the trigger words and the gotcha and all of those things, all the million upsells in a funnel. I mean, it just goes on and on. Like, is not how their clients find them, build trust, make the purchase, and continue a relationship. And so
Yeah.
um, I really in the last 6 months or so have spent a lot of time pouring back into these industries that poured into me over the last 4 years. And so I do have a bit of a split avatar, depending on how you look at it. I still
Cool.
do the one-on-one and the consulting and the bigger businesses, but building out this community really of those that want to sell without selling out is really the best way that I can describe it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's where my heart is. That's where I want to pour all of these years of knowledge and experience into because they really have different frictions that other companies don't.
No, and I can completely see that as well. As frictions is a great way to put it because it naturally goes against their grain of everything they're doing sometimes within the offer. And not to say that the way that people do marketing, as you say, with the upselling, the funnels, the messaging, even sometimes running ads, they find a little bit touchy because it does. It's a lot when you are selling more of that, more of a B to very personal C offer. You know,
Mhm.
you don't want to be hitting people with their pain points and making it worse. But that is essentially what you're doing with the psychology of marketing. So I completely understand what you're saying. It does go against their grain a little bit. It does cause friction with sometimes who they are as a person, which can be quite uncomfortable. And when you're trying to market and trying to sell, when you feel uncomfortable, naturally it goes straight out the window. You know, you have to be very much within that process and aligned with that process.
Mhm.
I suppose is a good way to put it. And it doesn't often align with their messaging personally,
And a
let
lot of
alone in
times
marketing.
then they fall back on referrals, which
Yeah,
is a trickle. There's no way to really
exactly.
turn that faucet on then. And they've been able to sustain some sort of an income and keep this business oftentimes for long lengths of time. I've been working with coaches and therapists and healers that have been, in their modality for 20 years, 30 years, just crazy long times with these amazing stories of transformation and real healing for the people that they
Yeah.
help. But in order to scale that, there really isn't the support that they need. And I just think that's so important. The more that we can support the helpers, the better it is for us anyways.
100%. And as you say, the work they are doing is so vital and so important. So I love the fact that you are bridging that gap to make it more of a smoother process for them. And as you say, like most founders will know, referrals aren't consistent. So as you say, getting them that consistent lead gen that they need to have a bigger impact for themselves, is something really cool. So I love the fact that we're kind of diving into that area. And then naturally, as you say, with the bigger organizations, they have their own kind of issues going on that which you can
Mhm.
actually help with. I understand completely when you're saying those big ones, just having the messaging aligned within the organization is a lot of challenges that I obviously hear with doing the podcast as well. You know, making sure your sales team and your marketing team are all reading from the same hymn sheet is very much easier said than done when you're covering a company that's like 50 plus. You know, how are we going
Mhm.
to make sure we're all speaking off the same tune all day long? So I suppose, Rachel, what is it like to work with you then? Like what is your style, your approach when you are working with your clients, and kind of what are the offers you provide to them?
Yeah. So surprisingly, I have in my background of all of these side quests, I'll call them, that I've had in life. One of them was I was certified through Wicklander Zulawski as an interrogator, and right out
Oh,
of high school, yeah,
so cool.
right out of high school. Well, I should say, I think I was 20 until about 22. I uh, I thought that I wanted to get into some sort of attorney, criminal justice, some kind of lane. And I saw an ad for loss prevention uh, investigator. And so I introduced myself at this gathering to the vice president of loss prevention and said, "Hey, this is a job that I want. I'm going to apply, and I just wanted you to kind of know my name in this pool of everyone." And he said, "Oh, well, women at their company typically are more of the compliance managers. That may better suit you." And I said no, and then I worked really hard to stand out and was hired in as the first woman and the youngest in the company as a loss prevention investigator. And through that, I was certified and had training in interrogation. And um, I found that with the training and with actually sitting across from somebody, listening to their story and walking them through an end result that you knew was going to be change their life completely. And sort of holding all the cards was against everything I ever like. I just had nightmares. I hated it. It was just horrible. And I uh, quit that job and but held on to that training, and that training itself has just been so instrumental in the ability to really understand the psychology of people for marketing, to really get into their avatar, to really dive deep into messaging and what it's like to connect with somebody and connect with somebody quickly. And so I've used that through the years. And now when I work with clients, a lot of it is first building that foundation of yes, but who really are you serving? It is I do look at strategy. I have something called scene mapping. When I get into a scene map engagement, it is 5 pillars, 24 touch points of messaging through a company's entire messaging ecosystem. And so I do look at the data and the user experience and everything. But really, the depth of everything that I do is really, really who are you talking to? And it's incredible to get on a call with whether it's a CEO or a solopreneur or a marketing exec within the company who has this idea of this client avatar, and we have these different points of reference, and then just asking some questions. And within the 30 or 45 minutes of talking with them, we have a completely different picture of who this person is. And then we can start the messaging.
Nice. I love that. And I love the detail you're going into. Actually, firstly, the thing I want to say, what a cool side quest. Number one, not many people
Yeah.
get out with the side quest they accomplished in their life. So I love that. And obviously, yeah, coming into great play when it does come to marketing, even sales, I suppose that's a great avenue for you because I think a lot of that is holding, you do hold information, you retain it, and then you see where you can kind of put it out. But it is a sense of like pulling that information out of somebody in a very unique way, which is obviously that skill that you've learned, which is really cool. And again, most of the people I speak to, they do have a problem pulling their messaging out for themselves. It's something that with those fresh set of outside eyes that can really come in and get that information out of you, it's very hard to do that for yourself. So I
Mhm.
love that you're very much deep diving before you even get to the messaging. It's like, let's figure out who we're actually serving here. Let's get to the bottom of this ICP so that we're all on the same page. Like the CEO and the sales team, even the marketing team, may have a completely different idea. So let's clarify that first thing and then we'll move on from there. So you're
Mhm.
very much in the trenches, very much going through that with them and that whole way through. And I suppose one thing I'm very curious to find out as well is how you go about acquiring your own customers. So like in terms of channels or methods, like what are you finding most effective at the moment, Rachel, in just finding those right people to work with?
Sure. Yes. A lot of probably 90% or more of what I do with clients is I just get visible, and the people who need what I have see, and then I get on a discovery call with them. I'm really very open to uh, I get questions a lot in messaging, like even I have a sales page that isn't converting. Do you know why? Or something like that. And I'm if I get a DM like that and I don't know anything about them, I'll just still say send me over the link, and I'll film a 5-minute loom and just show them a few things that I see right away. So I try to stay really human, I guess, in my in my outreach and marketing efforts, and really available for questions and things like that.
Nice.
So that's the biggest one. I also every once in a while, run ads, do some live workshops and things like that. But for the most part, I I really don't take on a bulk amount of clients. I have 4 retainer clients that uh, a month that rotate in and out, and often a lot of them stay for years or a long time. I take on 2 consulting clients at a time, and then I have the messaging lab. And the messaging lab is more available, I guess, because it's
Okay.
not working one-on-one with me as intensely as a retainer or a consulting client. And so those are a lot of referrals, or sometimes I run ads,
Nice.
and of course, email marketing campaigns and all the different things. But yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of it is just being available. And I love talking about messaging and marketing. I love answering questions. And so when people have questions or comments, I try to respond to those with some real value that they can test
Yeah.
out first.
I love that. I love you ended on the word value because it's where my head was the whole time. You're very much leaning into that value aspect of it. And even the connection base, I know you use the word human, but it is like more of the relational base. Like you're very open for people to message you and the right people will find you. And then adding on top of that, what you need to do, as you say, running email lists, being top of mind when you're on social media and putting ads out there as well. I think it's a really cool way to do it. And naturally you have several ways of people, the way that people can work with you as well. So you're very much meeting them at their needs. As you say, like you can do more of like the retainer model with your current clients, and then obviously bringing on that consultancy as well, and then more accessible with the messaging lab, which is a pretty cool
Mhm.
aspect. And I suppose with that being said as well, like what are your visions or your ambitions for the company moving forward? Like when you think of maybe the next 6 to 12 months ahead, like what are those goals or those targets that you're working hard towards achieving?
Yes, I my goal right now is really to to get loud about the fact that these conscious entrepreneurs have more friction or different pain points and um uh yeah, just different friction than a lot of the other companies that
Yeah.
a lot of marketing uh courses and instruction kind of leans into. And so yeah, in the next 6 months, my biggest priority is to just really talk about it. Like, let's just talk about it. Let's talk about connection and what it means to build urgency in a way that is not false and pressure, filled, and um, but in a way that really converts, because that's the other piece that I think a lot of um, conscious entrepreneurs are slightly uncomfortable talking about. And I just want to get loud about it. Like the people who are helpers and are making and wanting to make the biggest impact in this world should be making the most money. Like hands down, that should be what's happening. And it's not what's happening across the board. And we need to get really comfortable about the fact that in order to make the impact that you want to make, you need to make the sales that you need to make. And in order to do that, you've got to get your messaging. Your messaging should be your company's best, most profitable asset. And it's usually the kind of the last thing, especially in the way that AI has been used in the last, year and a half, 2 years. I think that we've got an incredible tool at our disposal and very little um, wisdom in how to optimize that tool. And because of that, a lot of these helpers, healers, service providers, their runway is just getting shorter and shorter. And there's so many high ticket offers out there that may be perfect for a different industry, but don't convert for them, are not right for them. And I just want to really expose those frictions and also get really comfortable with the fact that you're here to make money and the byproduct of making sales is the impact that you want to make.
Yeah. No, it's so true. And I think if you look at Tony Robbins, he's a big advocate for that, because he is
Hmm.
like, if you have that impact and you can help somebody out with what you're doing, you should be doing all you can to get to that person, and things will come good. Yes, you earn money, it's a business at the end of the day, but then putting that stuff into something else and keep on that impact trail. So I love the fact, as you say, like even from the start, I really enjoyed that you are trying to highlight that for people and cutting out that friction for them as well, like providing with a service that will actually suit them moving forward, which is a really, really important piece. I suppose where are you probably finding the biggest challenge for yourself in achieving that goal at the moment?
The biggest challenge is definitely the mindset and the perspective, the current one and the shift I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
It's not it's not really a minor shift, I wouldn't say, in the market, I mean, it's been over a decade in marketing, and to talk about connect first copywriting is not a thing. It's a and where there are kind of pieces and pockets, it's it lacks the conversion part of it. So
Yeah.
so we need to put these two together.
So true.
And I think that the biggest hurdle is shifting that mindset of those that really need this to say there is a way to market without feeling like it's soul crushing. And also just respects the people that you're signing up, and the people that you are selling to. You
Yeah.
don't uh Part of my messaging has been, you don't have to hurt people to help people. And I know, and that kind of hits hard. And I rarely use that because I don't ever want shame. It feels like any shame based, because you're doing the best that you can. And this is just the way that you were taught. But when you really look at uh, some of the mainstream messaging and marketing tactics and strategies for those people who are really hurting, let's say, and let's say in as a therapist or a service provider in that way, to agitate their pain in order to get the sale doesn't best honor that person and start the relationship off in the best way. Um, so there is a way to do that and to shift it. And conversion. It's not an or. It's not connect or convert. It's connect and convert. And
Yeah.
we really just need to get comfortable with that.
We so do. And it is so true, and I think the conversion part, the one they shot is naturally because of they're selling it, and it's like, it is like, I don't want to force this person over the line. But again, like, if you can actually give somebody a service that they very truly need, like, it's that motivation you need to be thinking about, not the manipulation side of it. Like, don't play them at their own game. As you say, like, we can find our own lane and we can find something that suits us, and let's move for that, and let's motivate these people. Can build them with trust. I suppose that might be a great asset to use as well within the messaging. It is a sense, doesn't always have to be pain and putting that person in a worse state to work with them. So yeah, it completely makes sense. And it is going against, I suppose, every grain of marketing that someone's ever been taught as well.
Just
So it
about.
does take time to
It does
undo that
take time.
mindset a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yes,
But
one thing that is so essential that I think is really missed about this idea of being able to convert through connection is is this recognition piece. And that's the first, that's really my way in, I guess, like that little crack of the door to go, okay, I think that makes sense. What else is there? Is they People have to be able to recognize immediately that this is for them. Does it matter to me? And I think a lot of what has happened in the last, I mean, even from just the beginning of me being in the marketing space, is we've talked more and more and more about storytelling and how powerful it is. And all of that is completely true. But I think that it is um, incomplete. I think that there are really three stories that you have to tell in order for your messaging to connect and convert. And those stories starts with theirs. It's their story, and then it's your story and your brand story, and then it's the transformation story of your clients.
yeah,
And no, we don't talk about that. We talk about, you tell your story, be
yeah,
vulnerable, but then we end up with this consumptive content where maybe somebody who really needs what you have is following along, but they're just consuming it as if it's
yeah,
watching a movie. And the difference is we need to flip a mirror around and let them see that this is actually a story about you. and
yeah.
and that's how they click through, and that's how we get conversions. So I think a lot of the marketing industry has gold nuggets that we pull over, but they're incomplete in the way that we use them for this type of entrepreneur.
I love that. I love the reflection you gave on that part as well, because it makes so much sense. As you say, it's just kind of leaning into those aspects that we can really work with. And how do we do that? I love the three stories. I'd never even considered that side of it myself. So that, yeah, I really enjoy that process. And Rachel, I have one final question to ask you. So if you could go back in time to a younger self and you could only leave yourself with one piece of advice moving forward, something you know now, but that you didn't know back then, what would you say to yourself?
I would say listen to your intuition. I think that or trust your intuition. I think uh, a lot of things in life could have shifted had I just leaned in a little bit, as opposed to looking outside of myself for the answers. And I think that that's a quality that a lot of entrepreneurs can probably relate to, because we have this like really strong intuition of we make decisions, like you mentioned at the beginning. There's a lot of easier ways to make money. I mean, there's like, if you're an entrepreneur and you've been for a while, it's because you are, that is who you are through and through. And we have this strong sense about us that we have ideas or thoughts or, just that intuitive side, and to lean into it and move, keep one foot in front of the other, keep moving on.
Love that. And what a great way to end the podcast. And Racheal, thank you so much for joining me today and for sharing your incredible journey and insight with us. Where can our listeners reach out best to work with you or connect with you if they would like to do so?
Yes, so LinkedIn is my main platform. I'm on LinkedIn. I have a conscious messaging weekly newsletter that you can subscribe to there. You're welcome to DM me and say I have a sales page that's not converting, and I will do what I said, send you out a loom and kind of share with you what I'm seeing. And then by rachealblackmore.com, just with the caveat that my name is spelled wonky. So it is Racheal. So by rachealblackmore.com, you can find more ways to connect.
Beautiful stuff. And Racheal, thank you again. I really appreciate your time today. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to go and check out Racheal Blackmore. As she just said, drop her a message on LinkedIn. Please check out our website by rachealblackmore.com. Drop her a message. I'm sure she'd love to hear from everybody. And do not forget to subscribe to Founders Future via wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or agency owner, and you're really looking to scale your business and you want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with one of our team and discover how we went from $0 to $30 million per year in less than 3 years. But until then, keep on climbing, and we will see you on the next one.